Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Swinging at Shins. We've made it. Aaron decides that he's not going to turn into a pumpkin if we record too late.
For those of you, it's after 9:30, and usually 9 o'clock is about my pumpkin time.
Well, it'll be less pumpkin time once we stop golfing on Wednesdays.
Well, that's probably true for most occasions.
That is true. Anyway,
addiction, people.
The Premier League is back. We have a whole bunch of Euro stuff that we're not going to talk about. Just England losing the finals again. The world keeps spinning.
Suckers.
People say that we would never return to normal. We have. England losing in European finals is very.
Although Gareth Southgate leaving was kind of new, so good for them.
Yeah. I'll see who they replace him with. Speaking of international, Mauricio Pochettino, new U.S. men's team coach. Allegedly, he still hasn't signed the thing, has he?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, so it's not done.
Not
done with a capital D. How do you feel about a Spurs and Chelsea reject coaching the U.S. men's national
team? Wasn't he also a reject of PSG?
Oh, yeah, but everyone's a reject of PSG.
That's true. Unai is, and he's doing great, but that's not the point. The point is, I kind of like this, but I still don't think Poch was a big enough name in order to really drum up the troops, so to say.
I don't know if we need a big name. I think all we need is someone who isn't afraid to put the best players in the best positions. I think Pochettino could be a very good national team coach.
Like I said, I don't mind it. It's somebody who's got better football knowledge than Gary Berhalter.
Berhalter.
Gary.
His name was Greg. We will get it right.
Greg. It's, Greg is when he wins, Gary's when he loses, and now he's kind of a loser. So he's Gary.
Listen, I think it's one of those things where if you look at, and again, we're trying a new format where we only talk about things for like 2 minutes and then move on. But I think if you look at what Pochettino has done in his career, he doesn't know what players to bring in, but he is good at getting the best out of his players. I think the Tottenham 2019 run shows you that. Lucas Moura and Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, he ran them into the ground, but they made the Champions League finals. I think that there's a lot to be said for him as a coach doing that. Malcolm, that's mostly for you. I still hate it. I hate it less than Greg Berhalter, so
better than Jurgen Klinsmann, yeah. I don't know what
you just push the men's team out of your head.
Yeah, well, they've been depressing.
Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't depressing for our teams.
The fact that both
the return to the Premier League
dubs.
Return to the Premier League.
That one
starting off with a snooze fest of a match. Did you have a chance to watch the United Fulham match at all?
Yeah, it was brutal.
I went from being so excited about the Premier League being back to falling asleep on my couch in the 70th minute.
Yeah, it just wasn't a fun match to watch. It was fun in the sense that it was fluid, but no actual creation of goals were
fluid, like Raheem Sterling fluid.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a break. Oh, and nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly. It was brutal.
Then after that, Liverpool with the early match. Good news with the early match with Liverpool is Woodsy was already up anyway. Congratulations, Woodsy. He has had his kid.
And happy birthday.
Yesterday. And happy birthday. Busy man. Very busy man.
Yep.
The bags under his eyes are bigger than they normally are, which is saying something. But he looks happy. Liverpool dispatch Ipswich down 2-0. I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people are going to read into it. Ipswich played up really hard because they had to.
Yeah,
and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Liverpool is under new management, and at the end, talent overcame lack of talent.
Sure.
I think that everyone played well. I'm not surprised by the scoreline, and I don't think that the scoreline should be read into at all.
There was opportunities once you could see Ipswich start to fade out, but they held their own for 45, 50 minutes, and it just couldn't. Talent over money at that point.
One thing I do want to read into a bit.
Sure.
Is Brighton 3, Everton 0.
Brighton looked like Brighton of
At Goodison Park.
2 years ago.
Yeah, Brighton looks great.
Yeah.
This is, again, I've been saying this the entire time. It's one of the reasons why I'm saying it. First game without De Zerbi, they looked the best they've looked in forever. I don't think De Zerbi was the problem. My argument has always been that Brighton's talent, Brighton's ability has never been the manager.
Yeah.
And I think this shows it again. They're a solidly built team. In America, we call them a franchise. But they're a franchise that does everything right. You know, it's like the St. Louis Cardinals always just made the playoffs no matter what position they were in because they always had guys coming up. That's how Brighton is. They always make good decisions. They always have good talent. Newcastle 1, Southampton 0. That's not a red. There should have been a red right after that play, but not for the guy who got the red. For the guy who picked up a player and threw him. Which, bravo. You got to be strong to do that. Newcastle did not look good.
It's 5'8" and 150.
Still, though, I'm not picking a guy up who's 5'8", 150.
Maybe.
That's not true. I don't know if I'm throwing him that far, but I could probably do that. Not impressed with Newcastle at all.
I actually didn't get to watch this one match, so
momentum.
There was a handful that I didn't get to see in this one.
Southampton had almost 80% possession. They had 1.77 expected goals to 0.25. It was a moment of, not even a moment of brilliance, just a lapsing moment from Southampton for Linton to get the goal. I understand that there was the red card. I get it. The Southampton had the better of the match before the Fabian Schär red card.
Yeah.
And they just continued to have it after. So I don't know.
Couldn't close the door though.
No, and at the end of it, see, this is the type of thing where it's like, oh hey, Southampton's probably still going to go down because they played that well at St. James's Park, and they're still going home with nothing.
Yep, that's a bitter pill to swallow.
And then the third match was, well, the third of 4 matches on the Saturday was Forest 1, Bournemouth 1. Again, I'm not reading too into that. One of those things that's not surprising if it happens in match week 20.
I mean, like, Bournemouth did lose Dom Solanke to Spurs.
True.
Probably still trying to sort out the striker situation up there.
There was
Other than that, honestly, like, Bournemouth looked pretty good. Moving the ball, intercepting the ball in the middle of the pitch.
There was a goal ruled offside.
Yep. I mean, he was clearly offside, which was too bad because it was a really well-worked corner. One of the training ground kind of corners. But, yeah, I think it was Adingra. No, that's Brighton. Watara?
Yeah.
Was offside. So, I mean.
But looking at the stats, I mean, practically 50-50 ball possession. 1.3 to 1.22 expected goals. They had Nottingham Forest had one more shot over Bournemouth. Very, very even match.
No, that's what I took away from this match as well. And I think coming away with a point each, they fully deserved it.
Moving on to the match that has already decided the league. Arsenal 2, Wolves 0.
Yeah. Yep.
Mikel Arteta said, all we have to do is have 114 points. Well,
Did you
will
see
say to you, we only have to get 111 more.
Yeah. Did you see? Did you see in the offseason that Arteta brought in a bunch of pickpocketers?
Oh yeah, that's actually what my FPL for the Albany Winners, my FPL teams call the Arteta's pickpockets.
The what?
Fantasy Premier League.
No, I meant your team name. I know what you're talking about.
Arteta's pickpockets.
Oh, okay.
That's
I couldn't hear it. It chopped up. It was the problem.
I'm going off your thing. Anyway, no pickpocketing happened here. Although,
well,
what was this dude's name? Hold on, I want to get it right. Mosquera did try to pickpocket Gabriel Jesus at one point. It was the prison pocket, and don't go in there. But he did try to do that. That I don't understand. First of all, how did he not get a red for falling hand into neck on the Havertz? Now, don't get me wrong. Havertz probably deserved a yellow for starting that. But I don't understand how that's not dangerous or reckless.
Well, when you're on the dark side, it's okay.
It takes 35 pounds
He just
to
force
crush a
choked him. That's
trachea.
all.
I don't understand. Yeah, well, not from a distance. Not from a distance. Okay, got right up in there, and then literally grabbed Gabrielle's ass.
Well, force thumb.
Looking at it though, Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka are the next coming of Dennis Bergkamp.
Okay, well, that seems a little much, but whatever you want to believe, whatever gets you to the league title, I guess.
That was a very well worked header by Havertz. He found wonderful space, and it was a beautiful crossing by Saka.
I mean, you're getting exactly the Kai Havertz that Chelsea wanted 3 years ago. So,
well, that's what happens when you put decent players around him.
Or you don't have 42 players in your squad, whatever.
And Saka deciding to do the cutback, but going near side instead of far side, it was a beautiful thing.
That has been a trend where there's been more players who do the cutback, but then go near post instead of far post because their goalkeepers are pre-protecting that far post.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we've even talked about on the show before. Like
we've talked about
when you say you can't be beaten near, and everyone's going to go far, you're going to cheat far, and you're going to do that until guys realize that you're cheating far, and then they're going to start shooting near. It's cyclical. Right. You're just going to go like this.
It was in reference to those who drove the byline to the byline and then would shoot across goal to get that.
Yeah, and then they started going near post instead.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what that was too.
Jurrien Timber back, played 20-ish minutes. Very excited for him. I think that he is going to be very, very good for us. I think when Calafiore gets a little more under his belt, he did not end up playing in this game. He was on the bench. When he gets a little bit more under his belt, I think that him instead of Zinchenko is going to be fantastic. Or Timber instead of Zinchenko.
I think anybody other than Zinchenko, and then Zinchenko can close out. Or bring on offensive.
Well, the thing is, what happens is if we ever end up down in the game, Zinchenko goes in for party. Because he'll drive forward more. He's always been a midfielder.
So
he plays in the back for the same reason that Trent plays at
they're in the inverted winger.
And it's because this is where I can get you onto the field. Mm-hmm. The only difference is Trent had Van Dijk for years, and B, Trent takes just masterful free kicks. Everyone makes up, everyone ignores everything because he can do what he does with free kicks.
Yeah. Do you like the inverted wing back like that?
I do.
What's your take on it?
So everything in the midfield is about creating an overload, right?
Sure.
You always want to have more players. You want to create the box midfield. You want to create the diamond midfield. It doesn't matter exactly what you're doing, but to do that, you need to have one or two more players in that area of the field than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And not even necessarily inverting, but being able to push up from one side or the other helps a lot. And that's why I think having Timber or Calafiore in the left back position would be so big. That's one of the reasons why, especially 2 years ago now, when Arsenal surprised everybody after finishing 5th and then had the title charge.
Yep.
Zinchenko would push up a bunch, and we would play 3 at the back with Gabriel, Saliba, and White. Because White was a full center back before he came home.
Just shift.
Yeah, and it would just shift, and it would literally turn a 4-3-3. Again, my thoughts on formations.
Fluid.
Into a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 or whatever you wanted to do.
But they would always be playing out wide. They're not really sinking into the.
Sometimes they would sink in. Zinchenko likes to go into that pocket.
That dude has a mind of his own. First off, he doesn't really actually.
He likes to cut into the midfield because what happens is when he cuts into the midfield, you have one of the defenders cheats up, and that creates a one-on-one long ball situation, and he can go over the top to Martinelli on the left side, and then Martinelli runs onto the ball.
Yeah.
One of the only reasons why that stopped working is because Martinelli had the injury last year, and he is just now starting to get back to the same speed that he had.
It'd be like that when you play a lot of games.
He likes to push in. And the other thing is, I don't know how often we're going to see Party and Rice both playing.
That lasts more than half the season.
No, I don't even know if it's a last more than half the season. They're both very good. Party's probably going to get injured again. But I think for most teams, it's going to be too defensively minded. And when we have a Calafiore or a Timber who's a much better defender, I think that we don't need to also play Party and Rice. And whether that looks like we put Jesus up top and Havertz kind of plays a hybrid false nine, whatever, or with the two at the top, or whether we have, more of a even Calafiore and Timber, because Timber loves to push up. Timber is as much of a midfielder as anything that lets Rice go forward. I don't know. I think that there's a lot more fluidity with that than we normally would have.
Yeah.
So, But either way, jokes aside, we look very good. City looked very good.
Yeah, they did.
We'll get to them in a second. You want to talk about Villa?
Yeah, I guess. It's okay. They pulled out a win. I honestly, Onana, I was ecstatic that they signed him, and his first goal contribution was the reason I wanted somebody tall in the midfield to be able to get set up for set pieces. And McAfee, the set piece specialist for Villa, has done a lot of good work, and I think he's going to have a ton of creative ideas to use with Onana. He was quite a interruption in the midfield for West Ham. I mean, West Ham did get a cheap pen back, but whatever. I didn't expect it to stay, them not scoring at all. They have a good squad. They went out and technically people are saying they've won the transfer window for what that gets you. They lose 2-1, but
winning the transfer window is like winning the draft. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I mean,
until you play, it doesn't mean anything.
Villa had the better stats all around, realistically, the ones you really want.
Well, and I want to ask you this because ball possession was pretty much even. Yeah. Expected goals, Villa had 2.03.
Yeah.
So they hit their expected goals dead on. West Ham had an expected goal of 2.46.
Which, again,
so there's
0.9% of it was a pen, yes.
So that means, let's call it just an even 1.5.
Works for me.
Did the game feel that close to you?
No, not really.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel.
Like Villa, I kind of figured it would always pull out the win anyway, and whether it was going to be, sooner in the second half or later, like it was with Duran, who is an absolute maniac. The guy's a menace, but for what he is, he's big, tall, strong, and he's very passionate. And sometimes you need that in your squad in order to come up with stuff like this. Ian Maatsen got to play in the second half. Liked him. He set up the goal contribution. If you were to do like a hockey second assist, he would have been on there. And Ramsey looked good from coming back from injury. And I mean, I think still people are sleeping on Villa, and I understand because, it's Newcastle did the same thing the previous season, and then they flaked out from injury and tournament fatigue. So I understand the still being slept on, but still having a manager who's able to, keep everybody hyper focused is a plus. And I don't see them falling off as hard as some other pundits tend to.
So I'm of two minds when it comes to Villa. The first one is obvious. I said this yesterday. We do talk about soccer outside of the podcast.
Shocker.
It is one of those things where I think it's going to be impossible for Villa to be as good as it is.
Oh, I agree. It's fine.
I don't think that other teams got good enough to overtake them in a top 4 spot. I think that they did enough
Yeah,
to stay within 5 points of where they were last year.
that's about.
You
That
know,
seems
it's
right.
it's it's one of those things where and people said the same thing about Arsenal last year. And yeah, we got Rice, and yeah, that's huge. And I'm not pretending it's not. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
People said the same thing. Oh, when you have Champions League, oh, when you have this, yeah, yeah, Champions League can be hard, but Champions League can also galvanize a team.
Mm-hmm.
And there's few people who know how to play European football better. The issue this is where I think Villa falls out, and this is a real given history. This is something that could happen.
Yeah,
I think Villa drops out of the top four
it's
if they
fine.
get third in their champions. Oh no, how does it even work now?
It's
Forget
a
with the new
table.
Champions League format.
It's a table.
If they end up in the table where the teams drop down into the Europa League, because I think then they go on a Europa League.
Yeah.
And the deeper you go, the harder it is. That's true. That's why the treble's so hard. I get it. But if Villa is going to get bounced out after the first 6 matches of the Champions League and doesn't make a run in the FA Cup,
Mm-hmm.
then I think we're talking about them within 5 points again.
Yeah.
And I still think that that's a successful season.
Absolutely.
Get top four back-to-back years. I know
Absolutely.
Arsenal's a fucking joke with it, and I get it, but getting top four consistently is hard. Ask Chelsea, ask Newcastle, ask United,
United. Yep.
ask Tottenham. It's hard. It's hard to do. So I also expect McGinn and Watkins to be much better as the season goes on.
I mean, Ollie couldn't be any better than he was last season. So, I mean, the dude put in 19 goals.
Yeah, I don't
none of which
necessarily.
were pens. None of which were pens and 12 assists.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as last year. I'm saying he's going to be better than he was on Saturday.
That's understandable. He literally got back to training like Wednesday.
And that's the issue, that when people say that they don't think that Villa's going to do good, it's that kind of squad depth issues. Because that's the kind of squad depth issues that Newcastle had. Which, again, is why I see both.
Yeah.
I said this a lot last year, too. It's not that I think that Villa's going to do as good. It's that I don't trust any of the other teams to overtake them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of moving on to the Sunday matches, Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. All I'm going to say is that's not offside. And I don't see how it is offside. He was not affecting the play at all. And it was a free kick. The goalie just screwed it up, and Eze had a wonderful ball placement. Yes, he was technically offside, but he did not affect the play. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to City Chelsea. City looks great, like always.
Yep. They did not off, but like they did enough. They didn't. So they knew they didn't need to do a lot.
Again, this is one of those things that's a bit interesting. You look at the stats, ball possession's pretty dang even.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea had 1.01 expected goals. City had 0.77.
Yep.
Tell me that game felt like that. Again, they have Cucurella rated at a 7. Botmob does. I don't agree with any of this right now. None of this feels right.
I think he did all right. I don't think
he gets bodied, and when he gets bodied, it gets in his head.
No, it gets funny.
Yes, but him being a laughingstock gets in his head.
Well, his hair gets in his head.
No, his hair's getting out of his head.
Well, it's affecting his play. Except for the Euros, which he was really good at. No, I definitely think City definitely felt the better team, better squad that whole time. Nicholas Jackson is Darwin Nunez 2.0. Or is it Darwin Nunez light?
Right now, gun to my head, if I had to pick between Darwin Nunez and Nicholas Jackson, I'm picking Darwin Nunez every day of the week. I do not trust Nicholas Jackson.
Nah, neither do I.
I understand that, like, all right, so here's the big difference. Darwin scores bangers.
Absolutely.
Like, he misses open shots that he should be converting, but he can score bangers, right? Absolutely. So all we got to do is give him confidence, right?
Yeah,
Nicholas Jackson,
it's like watching arms and legs flail. That's all that's happening right now.
I don't even know with him, man.
It's
I
embarrassing.
literally do not know. And
I hope he gets it figured because I actually like him as a player too.
Jackson?
What?
Nunez or Jackson?
Jackson.
I heard a
But
chant the other day where it's, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, your son is shit.
oh dear.
I don't want to talk about Jackson. I want to talk
That's
about Enzo Maresca.
Enzo
And the
Mascarpone.
way he is choosing, I don't know how you're getting Mascarpone out of that.
I'm not. That's what I'm doing. It's a me thing. It's okay.
Okay, you just went on a whole trip there by yourself. I don't
Yeah, all of that.
know if I disagree with. I don't know. I, the way he's choosing to play this team is very interesting. I think it's going to get him fired, but I also think it's the only way that he can play this team. And for those of you who don't know, he has come out and said he doesn't have 45 team members on the squad. He has 20, and he's playing those 20 guys the way he wants to. And the other 15 to 20 guys are just not even, they don't even practice with the main squad.
U21.
People who are included in that not practicing with the main squad are Raheem Sterling, who, according to him, and a press release he put out about 2 seconds before kickoff on Sunday, he was told he would be included in the prime 20. I don't know, the lesser 20 and the prime 20, however, the first team and the second team, I guess. And then was told that he wasn't. So either Maresca changed his mind, Maresca didn't communicate well enough, or Sterling is trying to force a move. I find it interesting that you would force a move this way, this early in the season.
Maybe he's just done with the overall Chelsea-ness.
I mean, I'd be done with the overall Chelsea-ness. And the other thing is Conor Gallagher.
Bro's a hero, and he gets dispatched.
He has to be on this team. Him and Palmer were the only two people that were able to keep it together. But no, you make Enzo Fernandez your captain. That guy gave up on the season last year.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I don't agree with how he's playing this team. And it's great for me to watch because I don't trust it. I don't like it. And I think it's dumb. But also from a supervisor standpoint, you know, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is not how you treat your guys. This is bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, you said he doesn't get to December?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't think he's getting to December.
Enzo Maresca, the one thing you and I can agree on, he will not be managing Chelsea in 2025.
Oh, fun stat. In Pep Guardiola's tenure, it's 9 years he's been at Man City, he has seen 7 Chelsea managers walk through that door. Wild.
And I know, but here's the wild thing.
They're all
that seems
paid.
Well, no, that's not wild to me. That's not wild to me. Here's the wild thing to me. That seems low. That does not seem.
How far back can you go?
All right, Maresca, Pochettino, Conte, Tuchel.
Yep.
No, I have those flipped. Tuchel, Conte. Mourinho?
Probably, but I'm not entirely. I don't have that up.
That's as far back as I can.
Harry Potter.
It feels like one a season.
Graham Potter.
Chelsea is turning. Oh yeah, Potter. I forgot about Graham Potter. It does feel like the defense against the dark horse. Harry Potter. You have to have a new one every year.
Yeah.
Forgot about Graham Potter.
Yep.
Potter was between Tuchel and Conte?
Yes.
No, he took over for. I don't even remember, dude. Anyway, let's talk about better things. Happier things. Wonderful things. Again, I say, you said that normalcy would never happen. It's back. Jamie Vardy's in the Premier League.
Oh, fuck. This dude. God, I hate him when he plays against Villa because, first off, it's a Midland derby.
Mm-hmm.
He always shows up. Always.
Oh, he always shows up.
Dude can
That's the
have two
problem.
broken legs and he's showing up. Somehow hitting a banger from 30 yards out.
See, this is what everyone feels like him though, because I'm like, he always shows up against Arsenal. Like he just shows up. He's just the guy who shows up.
He's a big. He's a clutch player, big time player. Entertaining.
He's right now my favorite non-Arsenal player in the league.
That's fair.
He has a bad first half. Goes into the training room.
Yes.
My guess is he smokes a cigarette. I doubt he listens to a single thing Steve Cooper has.
Not even a little bit.
Comes out, finishing his Red Bull, scores an absolute banger.
Yep.
Points at the Premier League badge on his arm and says, "We have won." Points at the Spurs fan. You have 0. Looks at Romero and tells him to fuck off, and then gets subbed off. It was a masterpiece. It was beautiful. And from a shithouse style of football, it's exactly what you want.
Oh, he's class act, like world class at that. I watched that game back, and when you were telling me that Leicester was maintaining most of that match in the second half, I didn't believe it for up until Vardy had scored that goal.
Yeah, and
then Spurs should have put that away. Should have been 3-1 or whatever the score would have been.
First half was all Spurs.
Absolutely.
But even I understand that from a momentum standpoint, Spurs was the better team for almost the entirety of the match.
Yep. Absolutely.
But when you watch that game, you're spending most of your time thinking that Leicester's going to win it. If anyone was going to win it, especially after the Vardy goal, if anyone's going to win it. Oh
God, yeah, Vardy had another one right after.
And then who else was? It was Ndidi. Ndidi had like a wide open header, and he just put it right into Vicario's hands. It was unlucky. It was unlucky how
anywhere else
dead on it was.
Anywhere else.
I think that the FOTMob match review says it all. Veteran Vardy denies wasteful Spurs. Like that was exactly what happened.
That feels right.
Leicester got carried by a guy who knows how to galvanize his team, and Spurs just did not win.
Well, so I think this issue with the Spurs is the same exact issue that they had last year. And it's not just putting away teams. It's that they leave themselves too open. Mm-hmm. They always want to get more. And then they get countered on. And now they're back to drawing. And they don't know how. It's not that they don't know how to finish out a match. It's just the way they're drilled forces them to always go out and get more, which is okay. But you damn well better get 2-3 goals.
I agree to a point. I think that is how they play. I absolutely agree. I think they play that way because they are fundamentally flawed, especially through the midfield. And I don't think it's something that Ange is doing. I'm still a big fan of Ange. I'll sing the Cheer Up Postacoglu song because it's amazing. But Betancourt and Sarr are not good enough. They are not.
Sarr.
Yeah, but he's a freaking head case, dude.
That's fair enough.
He's an absolute head case. By the way, getting Emerson Royal off this team is going to do wonders for them. He was a head case.
Still have Pedro Porro.
I understand.
Maybe that's the light version of him.
Yeah, but you didn't need him from both sides. You didn't need both those guys to be the starting fullback. I used to love when both of them were starting fullbacks because I knew between Martinelli and Saka, we were going to get one of them off the field very early, whether it's a red card or something else. They're so easy to get in their heads. James Maddison isn't healthy enough. Heung-min Son doesn't have the legs anymore. I think Solanke is a phenomenal buy.
Oh, that was such a good sign.
I think anything that makes them not rely on Werner and not rely on Richarlison is huge. Yeah. I think that's huge. Solanke also has that mentality. To use the slang, he got that dog in him.
I was never a big fan of Solanke, and then I don't know, he just kind of kicked it on, and I was like, dude's got talent. Shouldn't have wrote him off so soon.
He's just got that up here. He's just got that ability.
Yeah, he's got
here.
the
he feels like a good Ange player. He does. He feels like a guy who's going to be able to do it again.
He's got that Crawford in him. I can't think of his first name. Played for the Knicks for a while, but he would just shoot constantly. It's like at some point it's got to sink in.
Doesn't matter. All right.
But
We're
like,
trying to keep these episodes to 30 minutes. We've gone a little bit over, but a lot better than we used to be.
yeah, that's true.
I do, however, want to bring back a little bit of rapid fire with you.
Rapid fire?
Give me your top 4 going fourth to first.
Like end of year, you're going to do this
Yeah.
all?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
No, don't tell me who's in the top 4 now. I can see
I
it's
mean,
trolling on the bottom.
For people who are, watching it, they can see the ticker run across. For those who are listening, they cannot.
Anyway, give it to me from fourth to first.
Moment. I need to pull up the table. Okay, 4. Sitting at fourth, I'm gonna go with. Well, I'm gonna be a homer. I'm going with Villa. Third is Liverpool, Arsenal City.
So same as last year?
Yeah, same as last year.
Yeah, I have it the same as last year, just swapping 1 and 2. And the only I understand how hard it is, and I'm not again. It is like 55%, 51% that makes me think Arsenal's going to win. The only reason why is we took it to the last game of the season last year, and we've gotten better. And to date,
I don't know.
City has not.
Man City just got Ilkay.
Getting Gundogan back is good, and I get that, but
so good on a free.
I know it's on a free and it's bullshit, but he's also 1 billion years old.
Oh, but he's so clutch. He just needs to play the last 30 minutes. That's all he needs to do.
At a certain point, they're going to stop getting that lucky.
Yeah, you'd think
At a certain
that's
point,
when the
they're
115
going to
charges
stop
sink
getting
in,
that
and then that's when they get unlucky.
He's 33 years old. He's going to be 34 in October.
You act like Jamie Vardy's 37 and you put in a banger.
Jamie Vardy is a freak of nature.
That is true.
Here's the other thing, and I've been saying this. I said this last year. I said it last year halfway through the season. If we have Journey and Timber, if we do not lose him 60 minutes into the first match, between the Fulham matches, the Villa matches, the West Ham matches, we do not drop the points we do. All we need to do is find 2 points somewhere in those matches. And we do it with him. We absolutely do it with him.
I'm so glad you finally acknowledged Fulham as the team that fucked you up.
No, it was Villa. We lost to you twice. By the way, what are your thoughts on Saturday?
Oh, this is fun. So, is it home or away? I'm not.
It's at Villa Park.
Villa Park. Yeah, Villa win. I don't. Stuff.
Villa win.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then fine. If we're just going to be homers, Arsenal win. I'm not as confident as I'd like to be, but I do think, especially if Villa play the way they did against West Ham, I do think we got it. That being said, Unai knows how to show up against Arsenal, and that's really annoying. So, for my own sanity, please.
This is weird. So Villa have actually won their first match week in like 13 years. It has been a long time, and maybe it's 7, but it's still a long time to not win your first match of the season. And now I don't know where to go from here because we won. Villa won. So do we lose like 3 more after this? Or
I hope so.
I don't. Anyway.
Well, maybe not 3 more, but just the next one.
No.
I also think there's been a writing of the universe because 2 years ago, both Villa matches, Arsenal won, and it was like very lucky. Like the first match, I remember thinking Arsenal was the better team, but you guys could have, like, there was a couple of shots like, oh man, that was close. It was really close. The scoreline wasn't fair.
That's across the bows.
The Villa match 2 years ago, if Jorginho doesn't hit it in off the back of Martinez's head, I know that match ended up 3-1, but that really should have been a draw. So then, like, for you guys to get both wins last year, I don't think that happens again. I don't. Yeah. I'm not saying we're going to win on Saturday, but I do think that, especially if we stay healthy when we get you guys at the Emirates.
We'll see. It'll be fun. It'll be entertaining.
But no, I think Arsenal because Timber and Calafiori. And also, everyone's starting to age out a bit on City.
Well.
It's okay. Pep said he doesn't care. Did you see that? He shit houses. I love him for this.
And it's so.
Someone was talking about the Prem. He's like, desire to win the Prem. It's not there. So right now, it's not there. It will be in the last month of the season. I was like, oh, shut up, man. What a stupid question.
Oh.
All right, you got anything else?
No, I don't. We'll save.
Like, subscribe, comment,
follow.
Thank you.
Don't forget to tip your bartenders.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Links for anything that you could be interested in, whether it's the YouTube channel, our podcast links, our social media links, everything's in the description below. Thank you very much for listening.